the last 30 hours, we have been flying steadily across the vast Atlantic, and our first glimpse of land is very cheering, even though we are told it is merely a Brazilian convict station on the island of Fernando de Noronha.
When it comes to the study of geopolitics, South America is often overlooked by the many analysts of the field. After all, in contrast to the other regions of the globe, South America is relatively peaceful, and usually most of its conflicts/disputes don't have serious repercussions in a global scale. However, in this brave new world of ours, where the current Anglo-American liberal hegemony is falling apart, the new nomos of the Earth is multipolarism. With regional powers constantly gaining more relevance in global politics, it is necessary to reconsider our notions of often neglected regions such as South America. Especially now, with the skyrocketing of the environmental cause, this region might be crucial for the future of geopolitics. My friends, I present to you Brazil. But of course, when discussing South America, one nation stands above the rest: Brazil. The largest country in the continent, Brazil is undeniably its leading force. Economically, it ranks as the world's largest economy, being in 8th place. Militarily, it commands the strongest armed forces in South America, and in natural resources, it is amongst the richest nations on Earth, with vast mineral reserves and a dominant agribusiness sector that feeds not only its own people, but the world. Even in soft power, Brazil serves as South America's global ambassador, carrying the region's cultural and diplomatic weight with unmatched influence. And yet, despite this immense potential, Brazil plays a surprisingly quiet role on the world stage. It rarely takes center spotlights in the global geopolitical debates. This, despite being a founding member of the United Nations, a key contributor to international peacekeeping missions like MINUSTA, and a vocal advocate for reforming the UN Security Council. So, why the silence? The answer lies largely within. Brazil's many internal challenges, like violence, inequality, and systemic corruption, turns the nation's attentions inward. It's difficult to assert yourself globally when organized crime holds sways over large swaths of your major cities. Yet, this conversation cannot be avoided. Brazil, and by extension, South America, is deeply embodied in today's geopolitical chessboard. As the Amazon rainforest becomes a global flashpoint and great powers view to influence across the continent, Brazil cannot remain in the shadows. Whenever it chooses to or not to, it is already in the crossfire. But before we start understanding and explaining everything, let's go a little bit to the past. New worlds veiled in mystery awaited beyond the horizon. Lands the Portuguese dared to cross the vast ocean to unveil, driven by dreams of glory and the allure of the unknown. Brazil's historical development began on the coast, rooted in the extraction and trade between Portuguese settlers and indigenous people. This early phase, however, was short-lived. For a time, the Portuguese crown shifted its attention to Asia, leaving the colony relatively neglected. That changed in the 17th century, when rival European powers like France and the Netherlands attempted to establish footholds in Brazil. These threats forced Portugal to invest more seriously in the colony. Migrants from the Azores and Galicia arrived en masse, yet for centuries Brazil's civilization remained coastal.
Portugal e Espanha firmaram o Tratado de Tordesilhas, determinando uma linha meridiana como limite das suas possessões. Neste mapa, a parte branca mostra as terras de Portugal na América do Sul, de acordo com o tratado.
The real expansion into the continent interior only began in the earnest of the 18th century. The establishment of the Colonia do Sacramento in present Uruguay, in direct violation of the Treaty of Tordesillas, sparkled border conflicts with Spain. These disputes culminated into the Treaty of Madrid, 1750, which redefined Portugal and Spanish spheres of influence in South America. Through the efforts of the bandeirantes, explorers and fortune seekers in South America, Portugal extended its reach deep into the continent, especially into the La Plata Basin. In the north, the Amazon also became a strategic point, with Portuguese expeditions successfully repelling French and Spanish incursions in the region. While Portugal was being successful in repelling all those foreign attacks, they were preparing for something really important. A plan that only a king could make, with small influences like moving the Portuguese capital to Rio de Janeiro and fostering new universities and new schools of medicine in the colony. Portugal was being ready for something big.
Eles querem e terão a sua conta. Em forma! As cortes de Portugal querem nos escravizar. De hoje em diante, as nossas relações estão cortadas. Eu nada mais quero do governo de Lisboa. Nenhum laço nos une mais. Pelo meu sangue, pela minha honra e pelo meu Deus, juro promover a independência do Brasil. Independência ou morte! Independência ou morte!
After independence, Brazil faced renewed territorial disputes. Unlike many of its South American neighbors, where independence came through bloody revolutions and fragmented republics, Brazil followed a different path. Its independence was declared by Dom Pedro I, a Portuguese prince who chose to stay and lead the new nation, preserving the monarchy as a unifying force across its vast and diverse territory. This singular transition granted Brazil a rare sense of political continuity and a territorial cohesion, something that many of its neighboring republics struggled to achieve. Shortly after independence, Argentina's ambitions to annex the Cisplatin region, modern-day Uruguay, ignited conflict. The war ended in a stalemate, leading to the creation of Uruguay as a neutral buffer state. Brazil's decisive role in the War of the Triple Alliance would solidify its dominance over the La Plata Basin, shaping the regional balance of power. To this day, two regions remain vital to Brazil's geostrategic identity: the Amazon, a realm of immense biodiversity and untapped mineral wealth, and the La Plata Basin, a fertile corridor of navigable rivers, essential for trade, agriculture, and strategic projection. Control over these regions is not merely a matter of sovereignty, it's a matter of continental leadership. These are South America's heartlands, and as story has shown, whoever controls them holds the key to the fate of the continent. Brazil has undergone dramatic transformations. Today, it is a liberal democracy with an expansive welfare state, a diversified economy, and an increasingly urbanizing society. The early 2000s brought hope. The commodity boom and the successful of the Real Plan lifted millions out of poverty. Brazil had just won the 2002 World Cup, and nationwide morale was sky high. But optimism faded, and as they say in Brazil, every day a malandro and a sucker wake up. The 2010s were marked by corruption scandals, most famously Operation Car Wash, economic stagnation, and political upheaval. The impeachment of President Dilma Rousseff deepened national polarization. A once promising era gave way to uncertainty. Still, Brazil retains tremendous potential, and it's often said to be the country of the future. But the question remains, when does the future begin? Agriculture remains Brazil's economic backbone. From colonial sugar to today's soybean empires to its past in the coffee business, Brazil has long fed the world. More than that, Brazil's agribusiness is a center of innovation. In fact, few nations are as essential to global food security as Brazil. Today, the country is responsible for feeding nearly a third of the world's population. Its agricultural exports, soybean, beef, chicken, corn, coffee, sugar, and more, reaching over to 150 countries, making Brazil one of the top 3 global food exporters. More than just a breadbasket, Brazil's agribusiness is also a center of innovation. According to the World Intellectual Property Organization, Brazil has seen a 50% increase in patents for soil and fertilizer magnets, and an 11% growth in precision agricultural technologies. This puts Brazil on par with agricultural giants like China and the United States, not only in production, but also in technological advancements. And yet, not all is well. Since the 1980s, Brazil has suffered from premature disindustrialization. Factories shut down, manufacturing sectors weakened, and the economy became increasingly dependent on raw commodity exports. This structural imbalance makes Brazil highly vulnerable to international price swings and limits its geopolitical influence. It is a nation that feeds the world, yet often lacks the industrial means to shape it. So, how can we change that? First, we need to start with a change of culture, a change of identity. Brazil was never meant to play small. We are not the lapdogs of foreign powers. We are the beating heart of South America, a land rich in people, in resources, and in will. And now, it's time to act like it. It's not gonna be a party, it's not gonna be an ideology, it's gonna be you, the individual, changing. We already feed a third of the world. Now we must use that strength, our agribusiness, our land, our leverage, so we can truly reignite our industrial power, reclaim our geopolitical voice, and build a future that serves us, not the interests of others. Brazil must rise, not just as a supplier of raw goods, but as a true bastion of South America. The time to be great is not tomorrow, is now. Like and subscribe for more content on the Hemisphere. Thank you very much.